It's time to become the best version of yourself and help others do the same. It's Monday morning and we're talking success.
Good morning, everyone. It's great to be with you this morning. My name is Greg Halliday. If you're new to Talking Success, we welcome you. We hope you enjoy your time this morning with us. I'm going to do a little bit of recognition as we begin, because that is one of the main purposes of our support here at the home office. It's something that changes for some reason when we're younger, when we're kids. There's all sorts of things organized around praising the great things that we do. And then as we get older, we quit doing that. And I don't know why. So part of what we do at the Soul Family is we do cheer each other on. So we're going to do that this morning. And then we have a special guest, Dr. Allison Caldwell Andrews. If you're new to Monday morning, Dr. Caldwell Andrews did her postdoc at Yale, where she was a professor and graduated in mind-body medicine and actually received grants in that area. Around just shortly after that time, became familiar through a mutual friend with Soul Naturals, just as we were preparing to found the company and begin our mission. So Dr. Allison has been here from the very beginning. She's very, very capable doctor and also an herbalist and has some great insights to share this morning. We're going to look a little bit on the mental side and the mind side of things this morning with Dr. Allison. And she's going to be joining us here in a few minutes. But before we get there, let's do some recognition. Just say hello to everyone. I can see everybody's already chatting in. It is awesome to see you all. Look at all those good mornings from the Soul Fam. That's the first thing, by the way, if you're joining us. The Soul Family is a very friendly family. So jump right in and be part of it. Hi, Maria. Maria is giving me a big howdy. I do live in Utah. Howdy works for me. Debbie says it was great to be here. Debbie was out here last week. Debbie Cockburn, a longtime soul leader and a longtime friend of mine. How you doing, Gwen and Eric Patterson? And we've got Chris and Anita and Valerie and Ebony. Lots of you here this morning, so it's good to see you. Kristen Brunius, how you doing? Okay. Let's jump in, and today's success key is called the Wealth Champ. The Wealth Champ refers to an ongoing program that we call Share the Wealth, but notice the spelling. The spelling is key here. It's wealth spelled W-E-L-L-T-H, because the wealth we're talking about at Soul is much more holistic than simply financial rewards. It is about personal wellness. First for ourselves and then for everyone that we're around. It's about feeling good, having energy during the day, feeling positive and optimistic. That is something that nutrition has a big say on. It does definitely make a difference, and I never tire of telling this. Most people would agree that with better quality foods, in other words, I make better choices, better nutritional choices in my life, my health gets better. My physical health. Most of the time when people talk about health, they're talking about that. And I think almost everyone agrees. If I improve my nutrition, I improve my physical health. Well, the message at Soul is that our emotional and mental health responds just as readily as physical health to an upgrade in nutrition. We're about that. And I would just say it's at Soul, it's partly the nutrition. We have wonderful proprietary formulas. And it's also partly the Soul Family and the network and community. We need both to make the kind of difference that makes our opportunity in life align with the mission of the company, which is you've got energy and optimism throughout the day and you're able to rest at night. So long-term, vigorous and happy. A quote I love to share from a Chinese herbalist, I'll say it that way. Probably would describe himself differently back in those times, but we would describe him as an herbalist. In the 16th century, referred to one of the herbs that we include in Soul Vital and in Adaptable in those two formulas. And he said two things about it. He said, number one, I would rather have a handful of that particular herb, which is eleuthero, than a cartload of jewels and gold. I would rather have a handful of that herb than a cartload of jewels and gold. And he said, though the reason for that is the long-term use makes one vigorous and happy. Well, that is a big part of the soul story. And now I come back to our success key for today. The wealth champ is simply someone who has used a tool we called Share the Wealth, or share the wellness, share the connection to the soul community, share the opportunity. Also, if you'd like to have a business in this area, share all of that. That's sharing the wealth that we have to offer its soul. And these are people, it's a long list today. I'm going to tell you, we're going to shout out a lot of names. And this list we have pulled just from the last 4 days. Honestly, if we did more than that, this is actually last week, Sunday through Thursday, okay? A week ago, Sunday through Thursday, when this list was pulled, because it was getting too long and we wouldn't have time to do even more. But this gives you a little snapshot into the champs. These are all our soul brand specialists who are using the Share the Wealth code, which everyone gets, member and brand specialist alike. Every single account at Soul has a link that is called Share the Wealth. That link, if it's shared with someone else via text, via email, via WhatsApp, any way that you share a link will give that first-time purchaser $10 off of their Soul order. And at the same time that it gives this great benefit for someone new, remember that the sharer also gets Soul rewards for use in their own purchases, lets them try a product perhaps they haven't tried or save a little bit of money. So I love Share the Wealth because it is the prime example of doing things in a way that benefits everyone. It's a win-win, and it just starts people on a great pathway to health. So that's a little bit of the purpose and the perspective behind Share the Wealth, why it's such a big deal to us, and why we love to recognize our wealth champs, those who have earned this wonderful success key by practicing that behavior of sharing everything we've got at Soul with somebody else. All right, so let's get into it. And I've got a couple of notes here on those who have earned it. And so I'm going to get into our congratulations. We're going to start with Adriana Barona. Congrats, Adriana, for being a wealth champ. And by the way, this is her first month. And she started out her first month already well into her first rank achievement as well. She more than a Soul 1K, her first rank, her first month. Adriana Oliveira, or Olvera, first time wealth champ. Congrats, Adriana. Alfredo Nunez, first time as well. And that first sharing was a brand specialist, Alfredo. Well done. Anita Carpenter, one of our new and recent 25Ks. We've had Anita on Monday morning recently, and love to see Anita just continuing to bring that soul love to other people. And a big shout out to Ann Cooper. Ann Cooper has done this before. Well done. Great job being a wealth champ, Ann Cooper. We've got you, Ann. Anthony Merida. Anthony is wonderful. I've heard him share and teach. You might look at him and go, Anthony's kind of young. But not in his experience. Well done, Anthony. You're a wealth champ. Antonia Ramirez. Well done, Antonia. Betty Runkle, who, by the way, happens to own an herb shop and does so many things. And here she is still sharing the wealth as part of her routine, bringing soul to others. Sherry Jakes, well done, Sherry. If you don't know Sherry, just think of someone who always smiles. I have known Sherry, I'm not going to tell you for how many years, because then you'll start to date her. I don't care if you date me, but if you date her, she might not like that, but she actually, you can always count on her to be smiling for a lot of uplift. And Sherry, you're continuing to do that for people. Well done. David and Joanne Lehman, just met them this past week up in Michigan, and their entire family. They got, if I remember it right, I'm trying to remember if it's 6 kids or 8. I think it's 6 kids, 3 girls, 3 boys. And they're all amazing, and they are more recent to the soul community and are doing such a great job in helping others. Eduardo Lopez. If you know Eduardo, he's got a heart of gold, and that's what he does day in, day out. He's a wealth champ. He shares with others. Estela Barragan. Well done, Estela. It's and fun to watch Estela's journey. And she has spent some time in the soul community and now is sort of seeing some of the fruits of those efforts and moving along to a new rank as well, by the way, this month. Estela Pineda. Well done. Estela, you're a wealth champ. Estrellita Hernandez. Estrellita, I do know her. Estrellita, I would just say one word, professional. Well done, Estrellita. Gaia Stepanian. Well done, Gaia. Genoveva Valencia. Here's another person where I kind of joke when I tell her nickname for me is the smile. Genoveva speaks Spanish, so I call her La Sonrisa because she has the most beautiful smile and she's always helping people. Congrats, Genoveva. You're a wealth champ, as always. Jennifer Landires. Well done. This is a brand new brand specialist who's working with Maye Flores, another person who you're going to see on this list. And this is her first time. And it's also, I believe, her first enroll is a brand specialist. So way to start it out right. Jennifer, you're doing great. Jose Menchaca, also a first timer in the Share the Wealth Club. Great job, Jose. Welcome to the Soul community. And you are a wealth champ, Jose. Lydia Ferrantino. Lydia has a lot to do. If you know Lydia, you would say, she's got a lot to do, and yet she does not ever stop sharing the wealth with people who have never before heard of Soul Naturals. So well done, Lydia. And now we have Lily María Hidalgo Sanchez. Just a couple months as part of the Soul community. Here she is also ranking up and has done such a great job as a wealth prime. She's actually been prime in both of her first 2 months. So she's doing lots of sharing. Well done, Lily. Lisa Manchester. And Lisa is another longtime super leader at Soul, never tires of changing lives with the Soul community and Soul products. Well done, Lisa. Lourdes Lira, you're a wealth champ. Luisa Santa Maria, you're a wealth champ. Maye Flores, I already mentioned Maye. I have a nickname for her too. Maye is outstanding, and she does speak Spanish and English. And if you see Maye, if you're going to come to Ignite this year, you need to come and meet Maye. Her nickname is, in Spanish, the Magnificent. I call her Maye the Magnificent. I mean, you'll see why. I'm not going to tell you anymore. Just meet her, and then maybe you'll see why I gave her that nickname. Okay, Maria de Jesus Moreno. Congrats, Maria. You're a wealth champ. And Maria Guadalupe Vasquez, you're a wealth champ. Well done. Maria Juana Magaña Mendoza. Well done, Maria. Lots of work in Mexico. And so that sort of lets us know, do those codes work? Does the Share the Wealth link, does that work in other countries? Canada, Mexico? Absolutely. You betcha. That applies wherever Soul is. Maria Padilla, congrats, Maria. You're a wealth champ. A few more. We got a few more Marias here. That's a fairly common and a beautiful name. Maria Sanchez. Congrats, Maria. Michelle Garcia Perez. Well done. You're a wealth champ. Miguel Carias. You're a wealth champ. Miguel Suarez. Miguel's another person who is the top rank at Soul, and you'd think, oh, doesn't he have enough to do? We're just working with all of his organization. Yep, but here he is. Here's Miguel as a wealth champ as well, bringing Soul to someone who has not yet heard it. And that is the same, could be said for Anavet and Jesus Conde. I love to remind people, Conde is working on his third top rank account. At Soul, when you finish one, you can start another, and he's on his third one, and yet always leading through sharing as well. So well done. I think he actually, the information I have of the wealth champs this past week, no one had more than he did in this past week. What a great example. Well done, Jesus Nanavet. Osbeidi Figueroa, well done. You're a wealth champ, Osbeidi. I see Osbeidi sharing Soul a lot. And Pat Alakheim, a special shout out to Pat too. Pat, since she's come, I am not certain, but I'm pretty sure Pat's had a success key every single week. We do different success keys that we highlight, and Pat's always on there. She's doing all those things that make the difference, that help people understand and be part of Soul. So well done, Pat. Rachel Kodesh. Well done, Rachel. You are a wealth champ. I don't know Rachel yet, but I look forward to getting to know her. Rocio Garcia, a brand new brand specialist, already out there sharing. Rocio, well done. Rosario Russell, you're a wealth champ. And Satinka Brosington. Satinka, I know very well, a very, very consistent, loves to share the difference that Soul and the adaptogenic products can make in others' lives. Tammy Peterson. Tammy is another one who is so consistent. You're a wealth champ, Tammy. You always have been, and you still are. Congrats and well done. And then Yadiel Diaz. We're going to end with Yadiel today because that's a pretty long list. And I will tell you, Yadiel's participated in a couple of really fun challenges. And if you want to do this, talk with your upline. We do this from time to time. We'll have different leaders in Soul, different groups. Let's just call it parts of the Soul community. And they want to get organized, and they've got some sort of a challenge or a goal or an opportunity, something that they're working on in developing their Soul business. And then we'll organize that with their leaders. And we've done a couple of those in groups that Yadiel is a part of. And he, both times, has completed the challenge. So he loves to be involved in a challenge that helps bring Soul to others and develop this wellness business that he has in Soul. So that's a special shout out to you, Yadiel. Well done and keep at it, my friend. All right. Well, that's a lot of recognition this morning. And I'm looking at all. If you got recognized, take a minute and get on. If you're just listening on your phone or whatever, get on afterwards, look at the recording. And take a look at everybody's comments for you. I love that as much as reading the names, is seeing everybody else praise you for what you're doing. So lots of congratulations there. And I want every one of you to know who earned a success key this week that you're making a great difference in many people's lives. Maybe you already know that, but I want you to hear it again from us here at Soul. Okay, let's bring our guest on. And before I have Dr. Allison, she was already booked this morning, but because she's awesome, when I talked to her about something I wanted to share, and I asked her, could she come on so that you hear it directly from her as well? She said, yeah, I might be on a few minutes late, but I'll be there for sure. So I'm going to set you up for what we talk about with Dr. Allison. We're going to talk about something that she calls malware. And if you don't know what malware is, usually it's associated with software that is designed to disrupt the good things you're trying to do while you're on your laptop or your phone, whatever it is you're trying to learn about or communicate or get done or work on. Malware can come in and it disrupts it, or it can even destroy it. Sometimes it can crash it. And malware is a thing in technology that is a great comparison to something we have to overcome as human beings as we reach out and work with others. And no one explains malware and how to overcome it better, I think, than Dr. Allison. And she actually was with us in a recent leadership summit. We were in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and had a wonderful conversation. And she joined in and shared the power with a specific example of something we were sort of all wrestling with and trying to figure out on overcoming this challenge that we were trying to work on as leaders. And when we got back home to the office, I actually found an email from Dr. Allison, and she kind of summarized a few of these things, reiterating some of the points she made, and also said, let's find more of these, meaning more applications and examples and teachings that can help people in overcoming malware, because when we're able to overcome it, then we're able to succeed. Malware, in the technological world, is something that's created out there by somebody with malintent, and it works its way into what we're trying to do. But malware in this example that we're talking about is something that isn't necessarily created with malintent, but that becomes programmed into us, into our innate behavior, limiting what we believe about ourselves, what we choose to do, how we connect with others, and I would say several other factors. So malware's worth a little bit of thought this Monday morning, and I'm going to read you just a couple of summaries from Dr. Allison, and then we'll have her join us live to talk more about the power of overcoming malware and her methods for doing that. Let me just read you some summaries from this email that she sent me. She talks about frequent malware that affects growth. So one of them is like scarcity mindset, that, if I'm going to win, someone's going to lose, or I better hurry because I'll miss out, or any way in which scarcity, we believe there's just generalized limitation to success. That's the scarcity mindset. Number 2, she says imposter syndrome. That's a frequent malware, that we're not really legit. I'm somehow an imposter. I'm not somehow good enough for what I want to do with my life. And the third one is fear of rejection or failure. Fear of failure, fear of rejection. That's a big one. That's everywhere. I will not hesitate to admit, I have definitely fought with that at different times throughout my life, usually when a really wonderful opportunity comes into my life and I start to question. So these are 3 frequent malwares, says Dr. Allison. And she says a couple of things, and I'm just going to read. She gave us 5. I'm going to read 2. And then we'll bring Dr. Allison on. Here's one. Number 1, she says, do friendship behaviors like initiating consistent contact that results in meaningful conversation. So sorry, I read this pretty bad. I read it like a question. Let me reread that to you. Not do. She says, do friendship behaviors, do behaviors that initiate consistent contact and meaningful conversation. Can we do that? Can we do behaviors in friendship that result in consistent contact and meaningful conversation? Yes, we can. Then she says, these are not sales calls. They are not sales calls. They're how can I serve calls. Often, she says, listening is great service. Just listening. Let them know you're in their corner. If you don't have the ability or interest or patience to create consistent connection, figure out what's getting in the way. I may feel like I'm not good at that, or I can't do that. So, says Dr. Allison, we'll figure out what's getting in the way. What is getting in the way of doing that behavior, which is a key one? Perhaps you have a belief you cannot succeed, or that ultimately this kind of work, consistent conversation, it's not profitable. Here's what Dr. Allison says. The malware override, this is a malware. The override is this. Okay, if the malware is I'm bothering people, that's what I think I'm doing, consistent contact, I'm just constantly bothering them. The override is people actually appreciate being valued and being seen. I can love them. I can give them that. Now, I'm not going to say more because I want to let Dr. Allison say more, but this is her summary she gave to me. The first one is consistent behaviors. What gets in the way of that? How do we view that? And what can we do so that that's just not an issue? Okay, number 2, inviting people. Often when we're helping people, we have to invite them because they've got to do something to change their life for good too. So inviting with empathy and with confidence. This is the second point that I wanted to feature this morning. How do we invite with empathy and with confidence? Empathy simply means we've taken enough time to understand them. That's why we can have empathy. We know where they're at. So anything we do to invite is going to include that empathy. How do we invite with empathy and confidence? Okay, here's what she says here. Use business opportunities as a tool for wellness. So lots of things we do at Soul. There's live streams, there might be trainings, there might be recordings that you want them to listen to. There might be a live event like Soul Ignite in the fall. Come out and be part of this. This is a business event. It's also a tool for wellness. Everything we do at Soul, every single invitation that you have at Soul is a tool for wellness. All of it ultimately is a tool for wellness. Physical, emotional, social wellness, and financial wellness. It can be one or more or all of those things, but everything we offer at Soul is a wellness tool. So, keeping that in mind, think for a minute, this is back to Dr. Allison. After all, you love your Soul fam. So if you love your Soul fam, so will they. Invite them in. Show them how to be in, not just attending. Little asterisk here from Dr. Allison. Sometimes people worry that when they attend a meeting or an event or something, they'll simply be on the fringes and feel awkward. address this head on and talk about how you'll be right there with them. You'll give them the inside track. You'll connect them. They're part of your team, part of your clan, part of your tribe, as Eric likes to say, or Patterson likes to say. So the malware override she mentions here. So what's the malware? Well, I'll be seen as pushy. I'll be seen as pushy. But Dr. Alice says, no, I'm offering a door that they can choose or not choose. They can't choose what they don't ever hear. I'm offering a doorway, and I'm inviting. It might work for you to improve what you've got going even further. Not, you have to come. People join people, not companies. Now, I'm reading notes. Sorry, and they're short notes, so it's not always meant. This wasn't meant to be read to you live, but I'm sharing a little bit of her notes to me. In other words, we can improve. We can work on what our skills are in inviting others. We can get better at this, and we see that. The more we invite, the better we do for people, because we get better at doing it in a way that they see. We're just offering a doorway, and they don't feel pressure. The invitations we offer, people, they don't join soul. They don't join the live event or the live stream or the Zoom or whatever. What they do is they join people. They join other people. We feel attracted to other people. This is what drives us as human. And this is I'm taking this from Dr. Allison. Okay, so a couple of points I've spent it on. Friendship behaviors and constant contact. That's a biggie, and it's a key. It is a key to success. And the second one is invitations, how we look at invitations, what gets in our way, and what makes us better at it. Now, those are two. We don't have to just focus on those. And I'd like to invite Dr. Allison on now. And first, just ask Dr. Allison. So I hope I've done justice by some of your notes here and some of this that you summarize from our discussion in Gatlinburg. Is there more that you'd like to say about malware in general first? Any of those 2 points are brought, or anything else that comes to your mind as we talk about this subject of malware and replacing it, getting it, subduing it? I don't know.
Yeah,
welcome,
probably
Dr.
all
Allison.
of those. Hi, I'm so happy you asked me to come talk about malware. It is one of my favorite things to really look at. And so, and I love the way you've talked about it so far. If you think back to the idea that part of what you really want to learn how to do is be with people, just being with people. It's hard to sometimes make that shift from seeing people as a source of income or in a utilitarian way, like I'm going to use you to lift myself. That's kind of what we're fighting. And most of the time people sense that and they don't like it. And when you think that that's what you're doing, that is a missed idea, or a maladaptive idea is another way of looking at it, which is another way to describe malware. Malware would be things that you think that are not accurate. And so there are thoughts you're having that are getting in the way of you really becoming more and being more happy. And so malware is there for reasons. And that's the other thing about it. It's not just random. It is a result of some of the things you experienced a long time ago, when you probably were before rational thought. So probably before 10 years old or so, when you ran into problems and you didn't know how to think about them. And so you sort of made assumptions, and those assumptions stayed with you. Most people have very similar types of malware. And Greg talked about a couple of those. One of them would be, I'm not enough. Whatever I do is not going to be enough. Another one would be, people don't like me. I'm kind of unlikable, unlovable. Or people will see that I'm not doing it the right way, and they will disapprove of me. And so you may look at other people who have success and think, well, wow, they have success. It's because of who they are. I don't have success because of who I am. The key here is it's not who you are, it's what you're doing. And so what we're looking at here is changing behavior. And that's why this whole idea about malware can be so effective for you, because you don't have to change who you are, you change what you do, and everybody is capable of changing what they do. So, one of the examples that I give is that I had a friend that I wanted to really develop a good friendship with. And I had this idea that I was not likable. And so, when I thought about calling this person up and saying, "Hey, how are you doing?" I would think, "Oh, ew, she's not going to want to hear from me because that would be annoying. She's going to check her phone and be like, "Oh, is that Allison calling? Ugh. How charitable am I feeling today? Oh my goodness." So I didn't call her and say, "Hey, just calling to say, how are you? What's going on? What's up? And how can I help?" I didn't do that. And so that's just one of the examples of the behaviors I didn't do. And so then when I look later, I could see, yeah, we didn't really develop a friendship. Well, why do you think that was? It wasn't because I'm not enough, because I didn't call her up and do friendship behaviors. So that's kind of an example of a malware cycle where you have the idea, which was I'm not likable and she wouldn't want to be friends with me. That's the false idea. Then it gets translated into reactive behaviors. So these are behaviors that are reacting to the false idea. And so one of those behaviors was don't call her up and ask her how she's doing, right? And then we've got the result. The result is so we don't have a friendship. And that result kind of inadvertently always tends to support the malware, which was people don't like me, I'm not lovable, she doesn't want to be friends with me. The result I get is she's not friends with me. Well, that's right in alignment with she doesn't want to be friends with me, right? And so you can go around and around this circle over and over. Idea, reactive behaviors, result. And we would call that like the room of misery, right? That is definitely miserable. The idea here with malware is that you can overcome this just with changing behavior. The problem with that is that changing behavior, especially in this context, is very anxiety provoking. And so you'll end up with a lot more anxiety. You sure will. But you got to do it anyway. And so that is when we look at people who are able to turn things around or who create success, they have probably focused on doing behaviors instead of listening to that little voice inside their head that says things like, "Oh, you're not lovable. People won't like you. You're not going to be enough." And so you stop listening to that. You may feel it. It's fine to feel it, but your behavior has to be different. And so you focus on doing behaviors that are kind of opposite of those false beliefs, that malware. And those behaviors that are opposite are designed by you to create a goal, to create an outcome. And so if my goal is I want to become friends with somebody, then I can list maybe 5 behaviors that create friendship. And one of those 5 behaviors certainly is going to be call them up and say, "Hey, how are you? What's going on? How can I help? Just want to connect with you, see how you're doing." Text them, call them, go hang out with them, set up times to hang out, etc. That might be 1 or 2 of those behaviors. There might be some other ones that you think of also, depending on who you are, what the relationship is, etc. And so you might look at those behaviors and think, "Oh, dude, that is so anxiety provoking. I'm not going to do that." And if you don't do that, then you're back right there in the room of misery. And so you got to put up with some anxiety to create outcomes that you want, which is the other thing we call success, right? Success are the outcomes that you want. So you do these behaviors and they can create success. I have a little workbook that has a lot more detail in it. And I'm sure we can get the details of that to you if you want it. But this is like kind of the essence. You learn your malware from experiences you had when you were young, where like one of the things I learned, in addition to my example of I'm not lovable, people don't like me, why would somebody want to be my friend, which I have really worked to overcome. Another one was don't show people when you're in pain. Don't let them know that you're hurting. And I learned this for really good reasons. You can always look back and say, oh, well, of course you learned that. That makes sense that that's what you would get out of that experience, especially when your brain is not really set up for rational thinking yet. And so you learn these things and then they kind of run your life and they manage your outcomes. So if we think back again to what we started off with, what we're here for is to be with other people. We're not here to use them. We're here to be with them. And in this company, the really cool thing is that the thing that we are trying to help them with is actually really helpful. It's actually really useful. It's valuable. We're not selling them a trinket that has no value. And so you can rest really assured in this idea of what we're actually offering to people is something that will make their life better, that will make their life better. Perfect. And so you don't have to do this worry about, well, I'm asking them to jump into this thing that isn't going to help them. Well, it's going to help them. And so you can be with them and offer them opportunities to feel better, to have better health, to make changes that will help improve the quality of their life. You're not just selling them some dumb little trinket. And that can be very helpful. So that idea, in terms of looking at what am I doing, you can feel more confidence in what you're doing. That might make it easier for you to just learn how to simply be with people in a way where you can be confident that you are lovable. In fact, it doesn't even matter because what you're doing is you're loving them. That's your focus, is loving them. And part of how you love and lift them might be sharing things that help you and that you think might help them also. And they get the choice to say yes or no. And you can ask them more than one time because maybe they need choices more than one time, right? And so if we think about malware, I think the key is identifying the behavior that's going to create the goal you want. There is so much that I could say about this, and just listening to Greg for the few minutes where he was talking to you about it, I had a lot of comments that I couldn't say them all, not even close. I guess what I'm saying here is I think there's a lot of value to this idea. And that looking at why you're creating the same results over and over might be very useful so that you can learn to choose the behaviors that create the outcomes you want, even if you think those outcomes are not going to happen for you for whatever malware reason it is, right? Behaviors create outcomes. And so you can go do those behaviors and choose the ones that will work to create the outcomes you want. If you don't get the outcomes you want, then it's simply one of two things. It's either you didn't do the right behavior or you didn't do it at the right amount. And so it's kind of easy to rationally figure it out. Are there other behaviors that I needed to include? Like maybe this person requires a croissant every day for me to be their friend. I don't know. Do I want to be their friend that much? I guess that's up to you, right? Or maybe the person not only requires a croissant, but they need a croissant that is exactly 1/2 of a croissant. Maybe that's what they need. And so you're not doing the right amount, right? I'm using kind of silly examples to kind of help you see. It might be something that you haven't included, or it might be the amount of what you're doing, but it's one of those two things. And if you do the right behaviors, then you get the right outcome. And it doesn't matter who you are, you can do the behaviors. They may make you anxious, but you can do them. Identifying your actual malware is difficult. It takes time. It takes a lot of observation of what your thinking is, but you'll figure it out over time. You don't have to identify them before you work to figure out what are the behaviors that create the outcomes I want. I'm just going to do those behaviors, even if it makes me anxious, even if it makes me think, what are you doing? You can't do this. You're not good enough. Everyone will see how incompetent you are, etc.
Allison, excuse
Yeah.
me for jumping in, but you always get me thinking, as you well know. But I just love this concept of friendship behaviors. I feel like it's such a such a great override to malware of different types. That just like you, as you say, that the behaviors overcome that. They can overcome the malware. And I was thinking about at Soul, it is one of our main purposes to provide as many opportunities for easy friendship behaviors, sharing something with someone. That's what we do as friends. We share them. We tell them when there was something good. We just tell them, oh, I went and saw this movie. I went to this restaurant. We've used those examples over the years. I've tried this product, and one of my friends just discovered Solflex PI. He's been around Sol for a lot of years. He just discovered because he had a shoulder thing flare up, and Solflex PI just solved it. And he's now telling everybody about Solflex PI, not because anyone assigned it, and not for anything other than he just solved something for himself. So I think like the products, they create easy opportunities for friendship behaviors. I'm thinking of all the education we do. All the little posts in social media that I can just forward on to somebody. A live stream like this one. To your point, your malware, I remember that, your malware manual that you created years ago. It's been a few years, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Probably it needs to come out, and we need to bring it out so people can see it. There are so many educational and sharing opportunities, and that's our goal, is to produce those, make those available, and make it as easy as possible for you to have access, so that I can really think of friendship behaviors as just sharing all this stuff. And like you said, I'll get better at how much I share and when. I'll get better at that. But nobody really gets too upset when someone shares something of value to them. Like I'm not going to screw that up. So I love this thought of friendship behaviors. And I can't remember if you said it quite that way in Gatlinburg, but you did on the email to me. It is something that stuck with me, because I think Soul in the end is about friendship behaviors. The whole structure of Soul in the end is about friendship behaviors and different ways in which I can do those easily. And that can overcome, I believe, any malware.
Right. It's not about scarcity. It's about, we can lift everyone. There's no scarcity involved. Everybody gets to be lifted and to benefit.
Well, that's awesome. Okay, well, I'm looking at our time here. We've got just a couple. Okay, so I'm looking here, Allison. Oh, Valerie says she still has her copy of the malware manual. If you would like a copy, and how did we do that, Allison? Do we have that somewhere, or do you?
I think I published it on Amazon.
Okay. I would love to. I love it that way. If you've got it published there, if you can, we'll get the information from Dr. Allison, and we will get it to you, and you can go to Amazon and get it. I will tell you, it is worth the time to get through there. Powerful anti-malware tools there, fuel in that book.
Yeah. I sometimes tell people it's like 4 sessions of therapy for $13 or whatever it is. I don't remember. It's not very much money.
No, that's awesome. Okay, I love this. So you heard it here today. You can get more, and as I remember the manual, it will take me through a process so that I'm able to analyze myself. 4
Right.
sessions. Okay, that's a lot, Allison. You know, your typical. I don't know what your typical rate is, and you don't have to say, no, but I guarantee it's a heck of a lot more than $13 for 4 sessions.
Indeed,
So
indeed.
you're so nice. That is awesome. Okay, any parting comments as we wrap up today? Now we're going to we'll do a little drawing. Actually, we'll have Dr. Allison help us with the drawing too, because we have a mystery bag. Because I forget to do these
Perfect.
drawings on Monday morning, and that's not good. But see, chronic stress, chronic malware. We're going to say chronic stress, chronic malware. That's so last year. So we're going to get you past that. We've got you connected with the right person. Her name's Dr. Allison. So we're going to draw. I'm not going to tell you what's in here because it's a mystery. But I've got a bowl here. So maybe I'm going to just mix names, and then when Dr. Allison tells me to draw, I'm going to draw, and then we'll ask for some closing remarks.
Okay.
All right, you tell me.
Draw.
Draw. All right, Alma de Leon. Alma de Leon.
Yes.
You win
All
the
right,
mystery
Alma.
bag, Alma. I'm glad you connected in with you, and I don't know Alma, so new friend. Welcome to the Soul
Nice.
Fam, Alma. Okay, Alma has the mystery bag. So, malware. Yeah, yep, it's real, and yep, you can overcome it. And yep, I think it's kind of something that you got to keep doing. I'll just speak for myself. I've been taught a lot by Dr. Allison, and I still work on this stuff. I can tell you a couple of things I'm doing better on because I've taken to heart and changed a couple of behaviors. So I'll tell you, so that's for another time. But I will tell you, I do think it's a powerful tool, behaviors to overcome malware. And with that, I'm going to turn to Dr. Allison. Any final comments, Dr. Allison? I always ask people this. Someone's brand new. They're just walking in the door
Yeah.
to the Soul Fam.
Okay.
What do you want to share with them?
They're new to the Soul family.
Yeah, but and also after that, whatever else you'd like to say to wrap up today. But also, I always like to say to the person brand new to the Soul Fam, who might be listening today or hear the recording, what would you like to tell them?
Oh gosh, I would like to tell them you have a lot of people here who can love and support you, even though you may not think that's possible. You thinking that's not possible, that would be malware. So bring it, just show up and be vulnerable and let those around you, right? Because it turns out there is no limit to loving people. There's no scarcity involved, and there's no limit to doing good for other people. We're here to learn how to love each other. That's what we're here for. And so come practice. You know, sometimes people mess up, but we get to also learn how to forgive. And that is also unlimited. So just come practice.
I love that. Thank you, Dr. Allison, and thank you for spending time with us this morning. And thank you, everyone else, for joining us Monday morning. We will be talking with you soon. Actually, I can't leave you today without telling you, tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Utah time, 6 p.m., we do have another episode of Soul Showcase, which is stories of hope and change. Through Soul Naturals, we've got some great people on that will be sharing their soul story with you tomorrow night at 6 p.m. So join us, and we'll see you then.